Willpower. I hear a lot about willpower. You need to have the willpower to do it. You just have to muster up that willpower. Have the willpower. Willpower is a beautiful word. It's inspirational. It really is. We hear it in sermons. We see it in quotes. We know that we need that willpower. I'm Ronnie Lowe, life coach. My clients have been talking about having motivation, lacking the willpower to do it. I just don't have the willpower to do it. I'm going to depend on the willpower. Okay, I'm going to muster up the willpower to do it. And you keep doing that and doing that. Okay, let's go back. You have the willpower. We all have the willpower. There's no limited resource within you for the willpower. It's like, no, it's just not in me. No, you have it in you. This is why. You have the will, right? You've decided you want to do something. You want to tackle something. You want to achieve something. You want to get through the day and you got to need and have the willpower. You have the willpower in diets and challenges and not procrastinating. You have the will. Let's say it's a given. You have the want, the desire to do something or not do something. There's your will. You want the will. Okay. So your want is your will. You have the motivation. What's your motive? Your why. You've got that. Put that in place. You have your motivation. So that's another topic, the innate motivation that it just comes naturally. So you have your motivation. So it's not that. And you just got to muster up the willpower. No, you don't have to muster it up. You do, you can, but you don't have to because you have the will. What you lack is the power. What you lack is the power. And the thing is, so many of us get burnt out because we're constantly going back to that power, those reserves. Just muster up that power, muster up the power. You already have the will. Obviously, you get through it. But then after a while, even though you achieved it, you did all the to-dos or you got through it or you kind of slipped or you didn't do it. If you flop or you slip or you didn't do it all, it's because you're just running out of power. Research shows, repeated research studies, those same studies repeated with different people. Also meta studies, which is our different researches by different people. And then they put those all together and kind of look at it with a magnifying glass, like what are the common denominators. But the repeated studies show that the people who have the strongest willpower and the strongest self-control, joy is self-control. When you want to control yourself, you're in control. The people who have the strongest willpower all the time, anytime, and the strongest self-control are those who use it the least. Let me repeat that. Those who have the strongest willpower at their beck and call are those who use it the least. They don't have to. They have the strongest self-control because they're on auto control. And how do you get on automatic pilot? Habits. I'm Ronnie Lowe, life coach. I'm a habit and fun or feel-good accountability coach. My specialty is habits in every aspect of your life because we see, as I always say, the common thread. It affects it. So when you structure your day with your habits, instead of just forced willpower, you have to go into those reserves or you give into those cravings. When you structure your day or design your day, your calendar, your priorities, with your habits with you, you succeed more often than not. Yes, we're not talking about the things that get thrown into your day. The wrench gets thrown in there. Those are things out of your control, but you're armed for those with your habits to have the most important things done and in your life, who you are. So I'm not going to get off track on that. So when you depend on your habits, self-control, anything it is, you don't need willpower. You don't need it. There are times where, okay, now I'm going to use my willpower. That's mostly in sports or something like you're getting through it. You're getting through it. It's like, I could quit right now or I could keep going. Okay, I have the will. Do I have the power? I'm going to muster up the reserves. Those are the strongest people who use it the least. Those times, yes. But you don't need to have the forced willpower. And willpower is a beautiful thing. It is. Like I said, it's inspirational and it's us. It's human. It's just a humane and human thing to have a will and the power to do it. And when you surround yourself, and you don't even need to muster it up, it just becomes natural. But when you surround yourself on your habits and you have good habits to get you through what you want to accomplish, you don't need it as much. All right? You really, really don't. We're not in battle all the time like soldiers. We're not in combat all the time. And yet we operate that way and we fatigue. You will fatigue. You're running out of energy. Also, people blaming willpower or lack of willpower put it in too much of the daily, or I'm not going to say the easier, but the more general things in our lives, when we should really look at it. I invite you to look at it, to use willpower for the challenging new things, running a marathon or whatever it is. We blame lack of willpower for we're gaining weight. I gain weight because, or I'm keeping on that weight, or I'm not losing weight because I just lack the willpower. Really look at it and consider this. You have the will and you have the power. You do. I swear you do. But if you don't have the right habits, that's why you're gaining weight. You're factually, bottom line, you're gaining weight or not losing weight because of the habits you have. Think about that. It's how much you eat and what you eat and what you do toward that are habits. Your do's, your activities are your habits. So when you do something naturally and it's easy, it's not forced. So you have to create those habits. And we know this, create good, healthy lifestyle habits. When you create those habits, then it starts happening. It does. It's perfect. When you have the habit of making the right choices, you don't think about it, you don't resist it. When you have the habit of not reaching for something, when you're just bored or nervous, when it's a habit to do something else in its place, there's no problem. Here's the thing. You have to create those because you're already conditioned the way you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an issue, would you? So that's what I help you in. I help you with tiny steps because we take on too much and then we run out of energy and we're not used to it. And our brain's going, that's not what you usually do. Well, that's not what we usually do. So we have to take tiny steps toward what you will usually do, and it becomes your identity. So you don't depend on a habit or make a habit just by the goal. You make a habit because it's part of the type of person you are. It becomes part of your identity. So another thing, self-care, for example. Self-care, we always think of routines, but if you make it a habit of how you react, this is part of self-care. How you react to things, like when you're about to get overwhelmed or something negative happens, you read something negative, you hear something negative, you didn't make that sale, that call didn't answer, whatever it is, what is your immediate reaction? That's your habitual way of thinking and your habitual reaction. So in self-care, we can change of how you react to take care of yourself. Or when you're tired, what do you do to take a break? What do you normally do? Do you have to power through, or can you develop a habit of what you do to self-care? Love yourself. What will work? That's what I help you discover. What will work in an instant and not take too long that you self-care. If you're not in the habit of it, then you have an issue. Or should I say, if you have an issue, think of something that you do that burns you out, fatigues you more, you start procrastinating. That's another one. Whatever it is, what is your go-to reaction? If you have a little problem that comes to mind right now, it's because that's your habitual way of reacting. So you can change that. Tiny steps, one little step to take care of yourself, to love yourself. Maybe you're not in the habit of loving yourself. And then we find out, well, what does that look like? What is loving yourself to you? Is it positive self-talk? Is it just soothing yourself? Is it washing your hands and putting on some lotion? Is it massaging your temple? Is it asking yourself, whoa, why am I reacting that way? Okay. Then thinking about it. Or whoa, why am I reaching for that bad crap? Those bugles, whatever. I just saw that on a TV show. I'm like, bugles, I remember those. You ask yourself why. If you get in the habit of, am I the type of person who would reach for this? Or why am I reaching for this? Whatever it is, we create what you can do, what you're capable of doing now, not what other people are capable of doing. Not what is, look, you can't just stop and talk to yourself. A lot of people don't do that immediately because you're not conditioned to. So we see what you can do, what you will realistically do. Same with procrastination. What is it the procrastinating? The procrastinating is not the habit. Well, I have a habit of procrastinating. No, that's not your habit. That's the outcome of your habits. That's the result of your habits. It is. Because what is it that you do instead of what it is that you're procrastinating against? What is it that you're replacing with what you have to get done, what you want to do, what you have the will to do, but not the power? What is it that you do in its place? Do you pick up your phone? Do you start like distracting yourself with little things? All of a sudden, you've wasted that 30 minutes doing something. I don't know, your nails, filing your nails, something catches your eye and you start taking care of that. You start cleaning out that drawer in the kitchen, which you never did anyway. I mean, what do you do in its place? Then we look at that. What can we replace those reactions? What you do in its place of doing what you want to do, and we create something else. We get you into the good habits, but little ways so that it supports you not procrastinating. And maybe you just have to take a quick break, but not procrastinate. When you ask yourself, what am I doing instead? And then we create good habits that get you back on track. Why am I holding off on that? Okay, what little, maybe this is just one suggestion, but maybe it's like if I automatically ask myself, why am I? You often come up with the reason or solution of what can I do instead or what can I do toward it a little bit? What can be my accomplishment rather than get the whole thing done? Can I get the starting step done, walk away? Will I get away with that or is there a deadline? Or can I just do half of it? I had an accountability partner actually. I help him with his habits, and he said, well, he had so much to do that maybe if he just gets half done, it'll be an accomplishment. And I suggested, what if you take out the maybe? Thought about that. Can I do half? I'm like, can you do a third of it? He's like, I can definitely do a third of it. Will you realistically do a third? You know, no matter what, by the end of the day, the third, it's doable and you will do it. Yes. So he saw what he could get done before he set himself up for, well, I failed. No, you didn't fail. You went the third. So that's just a thing we do. And I helped him this morning with that. So we look at what you can realistically do so that you don't procrastinate, you don't put it off, or you don't get overwhelmed. So to recap, in anything you do, whether it's avoiding FOMO or you're feeling lazy or you don't make it on the bedtime, you have the most horrible bedtime routine, those are routines, those are the results of your habits, your bad habits or your neutral habits or your the habits you have. So we start creating habits that will dissipate that issue. Okay, so back. You have the will, you have the motivation, you don't have the power. You don't have the power. So use that power when you really want to. You really want to, and you choose to, rather than constantly thinking you need the willpower to do it. You don't need the sheer discipline. You don't need just mere willpower. What you need to do is create habits that will support that will. Those habits instead of the power. That's your power, your habits. Thank you for watching this. Please DM me. I got a really interesting, thoughtful question from last week's video, and it was on motivation, innate motivation, as opposed to the exterior motivators. So, and they make me think and they challenge me. So thank you so much. And we had a great conversation. You have any questions? You want to explore coaching? You want to see how habits can help you in relationships, communication, in your work, in your health and fitness, whatever it is? Ask me, hit me up. It's a loving, sincere chat. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Design your day, structure your week. I invite you with your habits in mind. Think about it. And you will succeed. Thanks. Bye. Ciao. And I'm going to celebrate that I did this today. Yay.